What gives you more adrenaline? The stack of cash you just won, or the cold sweat the moment you realize everything is lost? We've been taught since childhood that the goal of any game is to win, that the joy of victory is the ultimate reward. But if you've ever looked into the eyes of a gambler at the moment they place their final bet, you've seen something else. There is no joy there, and there is no peace. There is only electricity. We're used to thinking that losing is a frustrating failure, a mistake that needs to be corrected. But what if I told you the opposite? What if losing isn't a side effect of the game, but its main product? Today, we're going to break down why your brain actually craves not the victory, but the very moment when everything collapses, and why, when you lose, you feel more alive than when you win. Welcome to the psychology of the abyss. Let's find out why you can't stop. Imagine your brain is not a logical computer, but a temperamental chemical factory. The main product of this factory is dopamine. For a long time, it was believed that we get it when we receive a reward, a tasty meal, a hit of dopamine, buying a new car, a hit, winning at roulette, the jackpot. But that's not quite right. Modern neuroscience has proven that dopamine isn't produced at the moment of receiving the reward, but at the moment of anticipation. In the split second when the wheel spins or a card is slowly peeled back from the felt, your brain is already getting its fix. And this is where it gets interesting. When you win, the game ends. The goal is reached, the dopamine loop breaks, and your brain says, "That's enough, let's go home." Winning is a finish line, and beyond it lies boredom. But when you lose, something else happens. Your brain encounters an unfinished gestalt. The system glitches. You expected a reward, but got emptiness. Cognitive dissonance kicks in, and the brain, trying to fix the error, releases neurotransmitters with double the intensity. It literally screams at you, "Fix this immediately. Place another bet to restore the balance." In this moment, losing becomes a far more potent drug than winning. Winning is satisfaction, but losing is an endless hunger that forces you to come back again and again. You don't play to win. You play to keep the dopamine from dropping to zero. But the most sophisticated tool in the hands of a casino isn't a pure loss, but its cunning imitation. In psychology, this is called a near miss. Think of slot machines. 3 reels, 2 show the same symbols, and the third stops literally 1 step away from the coveted jackpot. Or in poker, you build a near-perfect hand, but lose to a stronger one at the last second. Seemingly, the result is the same. You lost your money. But to your brain, these events are on different planets. When you lose cleanly, say all your cards were just weak, your brain understands. We lost. We can relax. But when you lose almost, your brain interprets it not as a defeat, but as a success that just needs a little fine-tuning. It's a flaw in thinking. You perceive randomness as a pattern. It feels like you were close, which means next time you'll definitely hit the mark. At this point, a switch flips in your head. You stop being a player and become a hunter on the trail. Your nervous system shifts into hyper-focus. Levels of cortisol and adrenaline skyrocket because your brain is convinced. The luck is already in your hands. You just need to press the button one more time. The casino isn't just taking your money. It's taking your logic, replacing reality with the illusion of success. You didn't just lose. They made you believe the victory was already in your pocket, and you simply missed it. And that feeling is much harder to accept than any defeat. But if dopamine is just the fuel, then adrenaline is a real fire. Why does losing literally make our veins burn? It all comes down to how evolution wired our survival instinct. In the wild, when a prehistoric human faced danger, for example, coming face to face with a predator, their body shifted into fight or flight mode. At that moment, logic shuts down, digestion slows, and blood rushes to the muscles. It's a state of peak stress. It's the highest point of alertness. Now, look at a gambler in the moment of a major loss. Their hands are shaking, their heart rate is up, Their pupils are dilated. They barely feel cold or hunger. Their body is reacting to the loss of chips exactly as if they were being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. To your brain, losing money isn't just numbers in a bank account. It's a signal of a threat to your resources, your survival, and your status in the pack. The paradox is that in the ordinary, safe life of a modern human, we almost never experience this on-the-edge state. We are bored, we live in comfort, and losing becomes the fastest, most accessible way to simulate that very mortal danger. When you lose, you feel alive, not because you enjoy losing money. You feel alive because your body, tricked by the thrill, has finally switched all its reserves to the maximum. The pain of losing is the price you pay for an intensity of sensation you can't get anywhere else. You aren't striving for defeat. You are striving for this extreme, almost primitive state where you feel truly present, even if the cost of that feeling is your wallet. This brings us to the strangest phenomenon observed by all professional dealers and casino owners. It's the story of the player who hits the jackpot. It would seem this is it, the triumph. The goal is achieved. The money is in the account. The most rational behavior is to get up, take the winnings, and walk out. But look at what actually happens. A person who just won a large sum most often doesn't leave. They start betting even more. They move to higher limits. They become more aggressive. Why? Because for them, victory is boring. When you win, you lose the sense of the hunt. You get the resource, but you lose the goal. And your brain, accustomed to that very adrenaline fire, begins to experience true withdrawal. The silence that follows a win becomes unbearable for the gambler. They don't need the money. They need to restart the process where the result is constantly hanging by a thread. Many gamblers admit, "I won, but I felt like I lost everything." This isn't paranoia. It's an honest account of the disappearance of the thrill. That is why the casino is a machine that masterfully recycles your wins into future losses. They know, if you win too much and too quickly, you might leave forever. Therefore, the game is designed so that winning always feels like a transit station, not the finale. Winning in a game of chance is just a way to get enough chips to make another, riskier, and more alive loss. You aren't trying to accumulate capital. You are trying to buy yourself the right to another dose of danger. And in this deal, you always lose, regardless of what the scoreboard shows. So, what conclusion have we reached? If you put it all together, you get a rather frightening picture. We are used to blaming greed or the hope for easy money for gambling addiction, but that's just the facade. In reality, it goes much deeper. Losing is not just a mistake. It is the most accessible and legal way to feel on the edge that humanity has ever invented. The casino doesn't sell you the opportunity to get rich. It sells you the right to a legal loss of control. In everyday life, we strive for safety. We make plans, save money, and minimize risks. Our life is a predictable, straight line. And the game of chance is a sharp break in that line. It's chaos, where for a moment, you lose your familiar self. The irony is that when you lose, you feel life hitting you, and it is that exact blow that confirms your existence. To the brain, winning is a period, a finish, silence. Losing is always a continuation, an eternal question of what if, a drama in which you are the main character. So the next time you see a person losing their last dollar, don't rush to call them stupid. They aren't stupid. They are just an addict, searching not for wealth, but for that sharp edge of feeling that our comfortable, safe world has long ago forgotten how to give away for free. Losing is a way to prove to yourself that you are still capable of feeling something, and that, perhaps, is the highest price you can pay for an emotion.